Good afternoon, Caribbean Weather Dude YouTube channel. Hit like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and make sure to check out the podcast tonight, 6:30 p.m. We record live every Thursday night. We do the Meteorological Report. Comedy plus meteorology equals meteorology. I look with a bunch of weather nerds, meteorologists, and storm chasers and whatnot at all the stories across Canada and beyond every week that we have. Comedy plus meteorology, meteorology. That's good stuff. Okay, let's talk. So, British Columbia, here we're sitting pretty warm, seeing a lot of really warm days, even seeing some records broken in BC lately as that nice Pacific flow is coming straight into us. Meanwhile, a large mid-latitude cyclone is working its way up the coast and not going to affect us here in the Cariboo all that much. No, not really at all. It's going to be really an Alaska Panhandle show where the atmospheric river, where the comma is going to really take hold and hit up north. So northern BC going to see quite a bit. But as for us this weekend, just looking at some nice warm temperatures for a lot of us in southern British Columbia. So we'll talk about that all and more here on the show, give you a little look at what's going on out there. Okay, let's go. There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen.
Get on!
Wow. I'll watch the video later. They climb up in this. Here's this afternoon satellite image. You can see that strong low there sitting off the Aleutian Islands, and you can see the dry sector coming in, cool, dry air feeding into here, and you can see this warm sector that's wrapping in and around, helping to establish that low, driving it down, making it pretty deep. A little bit of an atmospheric river for sure on that, coming all the way from Hawaii up into the North BC coast. You can see it's making some cloud cover in northern British Columbia. It's overcast here in Wells. And we may see like a moment of a band of snow coming through this weekend, but no, the real snow story is going on through the prairies right now, where a bunch of weather warnings are up in effect. Well, I'll talk about that too shortly in as we go here. A little bit of a low down there in California, as you can see as well, rotating counterclockwise. That's the way that lows rotate. And that is, of course, very good news for them because they would like to continue to see some stormy weather into Southern California because anything we could do to get those fires from coming back this year would be good for them. What's Justin saying on the Facebook today? You can always go check out his YouTube channel as well, Weather Center in Manitoba. This is where the real story is through this weekend. A strong Alberta clipper will not only have snowy implications for central Manitoba today, but will also have implications for southern Manitoba as well. Not as much in the way of snow across the south. It'll be the strong winds that usher in colder weekend ahead. As the clipper sweeps through today, it will bring forth very strong winds on the backside of the system tonight across southern Manitoba. We expect winds to pick up starting 8 to 10 p.m. this evening across Parkland region of western Manitoba, with wind gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour likely. Then the winds will shift southeastward later on tonight to impact southern Manitoba widespread. By 2-3 a.m., the strong winds will be hammering areas along the Trans-Canada Highway, including Brandon, Portage la Prairie, Winnipeg. They'll get those strong winds by 3 a.m. probably there. Wind gusts be nearing 90 to 100 kilometers an hour at times overnight. Then the winds will scream southward towards Carman, Emerson, Morden, Winkler areas by 4 to 5 a.m. Pretty specific forecast. Really good job, Justin. Gusts up to 100 kilometers an hour possible. They may start to slow down sometime in the morning tomorrow. So that's why more or less the battle board looks the way it is today. Guess blizzard warning, or Richardson Mountains. You know, it's pretty easy to guess that one these days. Okay, wind warning for Edmonton. So you can see where some of those winds are going to be coming down. You can see where the low will be spending its precipitation by what's all in red here. So we have different areas of red, 10 to 20 centimeters, for example, in northern Saskatchewan. About the same through much of Manitoba, even into western Ontario. See maybe 25 centimeters there, maybe a little bit of a lake effect to even help them there, I suppose, as well. Kick up a little bit extra moisture. It's a little bit more humid often in the Ontario side than it is in the Manitoba side. So that will be your situation for you. It's very cold up in the north, actually, even though it's quite warm in Western Canada. Wind chills of minus 45 still along the Hudson Bay area of Lake, of Ontario, the Ontario extreme cold warning through Quebec. That kind of gives you the picture there. And of course, if you go over to Nova Scotia, you got some big time rainfall totals there, 30-60 millimeters through much of Nova Scotia. Snowfall warnings into Newfoundland. Rainfall warnings there, just a nasty mess. I didn't realize my face was in the way, but I'm not going to reshoot that last segment. I said what I'm going to say. Okay, Lucy Island Lighthouse in BC getting 115 kilometer an hour winds yesterday, as well as Kamshiwa Island. Herbert Island up to 111, so some strong winds in BC yesterday following low pressure system that went to the north coast in Haida Gwaii on the 26th of February. Okay. Also have a new maximum daily temperature record broken there at Tatlioko Lake, 14.7. I know Bella Bella hit 15 as well, so some very, very exceedingly warm temperatures yesterday. However, here in Wells, it was mostly overcast and cool, although not cold, no, but cooler here than certainly it seemed like it was for everybody else. Just to give you a little bit of a picture where this Arctic outbreak is going to be heading down towards the east still. So we get that situation once again where we in the west are quite warm and the east is getting quite cold. So you can see how that jet stream is just sort of doing such. Now we have the possibility of a severe weather outbreak coming even next week. I think already they have an enhanced risk area for... Well, we'll look as we get into this story. We'll just jump here for temperature for a second, just to give you a show of where the temperature is going to go, so you can see how it's diving down there east. You can see that low there. So that's your setup. That's your setup, and then it starts to resolve itself. Warm temperature down there. Next low. So sometime around Tuesday, I think, is when we're looking at for the United States seeing some disastrous implications. Maybe some, of course. You have that risk of blizzard conditions in the North Plains, but on the south side there, you have that tornado risk through the day there. And I think if we just go a little bit further, you can start to see where some of that enhanced risk is going to be showing up. Oh, right there, for example. So Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Monday. What do we got for Monday next week? So, I mean, that's just if you know anybody down there. And just to sort of... so the event's really kicks off on Tuesday. So just to sort of let you know that we are now entering that spring tornado season. It is going to jump into effect. Somebody had asked, well, what happened the other 8 times that there was an enhanced risk this far out? We're like 5-6 days out. And I just commented with one word. I said, bad. So back to the actual topic here, which is... BC is going to stay warm for a while, and southern BC is going to stay quite dry. Look at this atmospheric river. That's a beauty. It's a beauty, 964. That's a very strong low, but almost all that, maybe you'll hit some of that north coast in BC, but almost all of that is not our problem in southern BC. There's your big clipper there heading through Manitoba. You can see where those strong winds are indicated there with the little arrows, and then behind here, so that's your dry, cool sector in the backside of that storm. That mid-latitude cyclone is the proper name for it. And there you go. That's going to keep moving eastward. We'll try to catch a glimpse of something else going on that way in a little bit here, but I'm just trying to make the picture in this more or less quick video today that northern BC, strong winds up the coast, strong winds on Haida Gwaii on Friday evening, Friday afternoon. Yeah, that's possible. Atmospheric river working its way along that north coast, but really kind of getting a stop. So we'll zoom in here on BC for a second. And here's like our only real chance of precip for a lot of us. Now, Burns Lake might see a mix of rain and snow and things like that into Saturday, and a little bit of a band that's going to come through. So this is our only shot at precip in the interior, and it's not much. It's right there for you, Prince George, on Saturday afternoon. Some of this might break away and come a little bit south here. A bit of a line here comes south. We may see some convective squalls and things like that, like we've been getting here in Wells. And what do I mean by convective squalls? I mean through the afternoon, the daytime heating, even though it's cool, it's not summertime weather. The daytime heating develops weather that has a little bit of a thunderstorm-like characteristic. It's doing the same thing that it would, if it had the right conditions, it would grow stronger. There you go, Sunday overnight, maybe a little bit of freezing rain through Prince George, West Caribou seeing a little bit of snow, rain mix. This isn't much. So this is our only real shot at precip, I think, into areas that are, outside this line from maybe Burns Lake or Smithers, heading northeast, where the majority of that atmospheric river is going to spend its precipitation and spill itself forward. So there's your little bit of a risk on Sunday morning, a little bit of a risk for some icy roads, but I'm not here to tell you that anything bad's really coming for you. I mean, and nothing unusual, no little precip there you can see. But what are we talking in the long run? We're talking like that's nothing, first of all. and there's not much of anything coming after that. So we still have that storm track being pretty active on the coast, off the coast, I should say, but it's not visiting us really, and this is unfortunate because we're into a dry spell here to start the month of March. Meteorological spring is March 1st. That's when we have achieved enough tilt on our axis to start getting more and more sunlight through. There's some more of that storm that we saw that would be starting on Tuesday, on Wednesday as well. So big event coming to you, Ontario. And that cold air we looked at that was coming towards you, that's going to be part of the fuel, and the warm Gulf moisture and Atlantic moisture, because things are quite warm down there. In fact, in a lot of cases, we're looking at January having the second warmest ocean temperatures ever measured, and for January, January ocean temperatures. And when was the warmest ever measured? It was the year before. So we're into uncharted territory here, where the lack of El Nino hasn't necessarily really changed the story much for us. If you're looking here, you'll notice that there's a little bit of a risk by Thursday. We might see something new coming on the coast. It could also become an atmospheric river. I could see how these midlats here could get quite developed, could get quite deep. So, is it out of the question? Then at this point, we start seeing a little bit of moisture in GFS. When I looked at the other modeling, didn't seem too stoked on it. Didn't seem like there was a lot coming for us. ECMWF seems to give us our best chance of it. So here we're hoping that we could still see a little bit of snow in the mountains still yet, but we're looking probably a week before we are really seeing serious precipitation in southern British Columbia. So enjoy that nice warm start. There's the sun on my face today. And don't forget, we got the podcast tonight. So do come back to the channel here. Hit like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. And usually talking mostly weather here, but occasionally I put a video out where I talk about what I see is going on in the world. And I think we're in a situation here on planet Earth where things could very easily spiral out of control. We're into a climate deterioration. We're into a political deterioration. We're into social deterioration. We're into wealth being concentrated into fewer and fewer hands and more extraordinary levels of wealth like none has ever been seen in the history of humanity. We are seeing geopolitical turmoil that could very easily develop into a European war, which would very easily, most likely develop into a global conflict. It's like all we need right now is one big conflict to take off, and you're going to start seeing, maybe attacks on Israel, maybe fighting between Pakistan and India, maybe China trying to annex Taiwan. It's like everything's just kind of a house of cards, and all we need is one card to get pulled out. And so we're in a very dangerous situation. I can't help but talk about it. I'm very concerned. Nonetheless, when we have the podcast tonight, we're just going to be talking about, weather and funny things. That's the podcast is not about that. Okay, so could really use the help of the channel. Please tell a friend. Please help me grow it. Okay, everybody. I'm going to go do some stuff this afternoon. Take care. Bye now.